Welcome back to the Relatable Black Girl, where I'm your host Simone, and on this episode, I want to talk about how the wrong men can ruin your life. But this doesn't just apply to men; it also can apply to friends and family, co-workers, anybody that you spend a significant amount of time with. I feel like this can apply to. Now, if you listen to the podcast, you know that when I was 16 years old, I dated a 21-year-old. So when I was 16, I didn't have a car, I didn't have a license, I didn't have a job. So I was so impressed by the fact that he had these things, and these things that I felt like could benefit me. He had a license, he had a car, he had a job. He didn't have his own place yet. He had like a roommate, but the roommate was never there. So it's basically like he had his own place too. And I was just so impressed by this. He would pay for me to get like my nails done and buy me like clothes and stuff when we went to the mall. And one day he was going to pick me up from my friend's apartment. Now I was standing downstairs waiting for him, and a girl that was older than me that went to high school with him was standing down there with me. And when he pulled up and she saw him, she said, "That's who you're waiting for?" And she just basically started like warning me to just like be careful, don't get pregnant. And she basically told me that she felt like he was too old for me. And I should have just taken what she said and just, like made a mental note. But instead, as soon as I got in the car, I just everything she said, I just started telling him. And then he was just like, she's jealous. She's overweight. She don't got a man. He just started like talking crap about the girl. And I think that the way someone talks about someone else is like so important. It's so important. The things that he was saying about her didn't have anything to do with her feeling like he was too old for me. It had nothing to do with her telling me that like I'm young, like don't get pregnant, and to just be careful. I feel like that's actually good, solid advice without getting too much into someone's business to say to someone, especially when they're younger than you and then you know this person. And so he just went in on her. And at the time, I'm just like, yeah, he's right. She is jealous of me. She's jealous of our relationship. And that became an ongoing theme in our relationship. Whenever my friends had something to say, my family had something to say, they're jealous. They're a hater. They're this, they're that. If they had a man, they wouldn't be going out. Like he literally didn't even want me to go out with my friends. Like if they had a man, they'd be in the house. But you're allowed to go out with your friends. Like the rules never applied to him. It was only me. And at the time, I was so young. Now I know, like, if you're in a relationship, you do not have to tell your man every little thing about you, your life, your past, your other friends in their relationship. You can keep things to yourself. I would just tell him everything, literally everything about me, about my friends, so when we would get into arguments later, he would throw everything in my face every single time. And I think that in a way, I just felt like this was the best that I could do. I'm like, I wouldn't want to leave him and then I end up with somebody that don't have the things that he has. Because once we got so far into a relationship, he had a career, he had his own place, he moved me in, he was still, buying and doing stuff for me. So I was like, I need somebody else to move on, and the person has to have what he has or more, or like I cannot leave. The only thing that really motivated me to leave was getting a career and making my own money and being able to financially support myself. But even when I got my career initially, I didn't want to leave. I kind of felt like I owed him, or I wanted to make it up to him for all the things that he had did for me. So I would buy him really nice gifts, like gifts that were way nicer than the gifts that he would get me. But I wanted to do that to show him like, oh, like I really care about you. I want to make this work. But that did not change the way that he treated me. That was literally just his character And once I was really ready to leave and I started going to people, they were kind of trying to tell me, like, stay and make it work. Like, if your man isn't putting his hands on you, if he isn't cheating, you should stay. But it's just like, what happens if he is belittling you and talking down to you and making you feel less than of a person? And a lot of people around me were very shocked that he was being that way towards me, because everybody thought he was such this nice, kind person. But, it was just a mask. And I was a little worried, like, oh, well, what if he get with somebody else and then he changed? Like, what he said he was willing to go to like anger management classes. And I'm like, what if I can like help him? What if he's willing to grow? When someone is never going to stop changing who they are. They might pretend for a little bit to get the next girl. They'll be kind, they'll be sweet, they'll buy things, but eventually they're going to be who they are, which is an asshole. And I think that I feared like a lot of girls, like, oh, well, what if he grow? What if he mature? What if he changes? Like, what if I don't find anybody else? And honestly, it was just a risk that I had to take. Honestly, it really was. Because even when he tried to get me back after I left, he was so kind. He was so nice. He was so nice to me that it almost felt weird. I was just like, this is so strange how nice he's being. But then, of course, that day came back around where he just showed his character, who he was as a person, and disrespected me in front of his friend. Kicked me out, told me roll, bounce. After I had just brought him food, I had went out to eat and brought him food back, and thinking like I'm about to hang out and chill with him for the night. And his friend was having relationship problems, and he basically he literally told me roll, bounce, get out. Which that was like my final straw. I rolled, bounced, I got out, and I never looked back. But I did take a lot of trauma with me from that relationship. I felt like I couldn't trust men. I felt like they were liars. They were manipulators. I put them all in one category. I felt like I wanted revenge. If a guy run into me, I'm his karma. Like, that's such a terrible thing to think of yourself as karma. But really, I was just afraid of getting hurt. And I had a very low self-esteem. So I would say and do things to purposely push people away, because I was just like, I don't want to find myself in that situation again. I'm going to stay single for like a year. I depended on my friends so much of, what do you think about him? Or what do you think about this? And I would just be listening to them, And I had one guy that I was dating that I liked a lot. And I told my friend, every little detail between me and him. And she would say so much negative stuff about this guy that it made me not like him. And then later on, she told me, yeah, I only said those negative things because whenever you date somebody, they want to spend so much time with you. And I felt like it was going to take away from our friendship. She was purposely giving me bad advice. And so I ended up meeting someone through a mutual. So I felt like, okay, this is like, I can trust this because I trust this person and they know them. And I ended up being with the exact same person in a different font. Because at least my ex would buy and do things for me. I'm not saying the way he treated me was right because he did those things, but it's like I felt like I was getting something out of the situation, versus this person treated me bad and I wouldn't get nothing out of the situation either. Whenever I see a girl get out of a long-term relationship and they like, next thing you know, they're with somebody else, and it's like less than 5 months, 6 months later, and they're in a full-blown relationship, they are always with men who are very similar to their ex. And I think that that's what attracts you to that person, because they have like those good qualities that you really liked about that person, that reminds you of what you're familiar with, and it feels easy. And I think that that's what attracted me to him. And so I basically ended up with the same person twice. I ended up with the same person twice. And this time it hurted even worse, because I didn't have like the friends that I had. I was in Texas at the time, so now I don't have the support system that I had before, where I could just get up and just go to my friend house, or my friend come over and we'll just sit all day and watch movies together and just chill, like just enjoy each other's company. Like, I was like alone. And so I took it very hard. I really, really did. And it wasn't because I liked him so much. It was the way he went about it. We decided to like go our separate ways. I would tell him all the time, like, we're young and you haven't dated that much as I have, and I don't want you to like feel like you're missing out on something. And he told me that he wanted to move in and get an apartment with his cousin after me and him was already living together. He finally got a job to be able to pay some bills, and I was just like so annoyed by that I was like, I think that you should just sleep on the couch because we're clearly going towards a breakup. I told him that. I came back home from work one day. All his shit was gone. He took all his stuff and dipped. He didn't say a word to me. And I didn't say a word back to him. I didn't call him. I didn't text him. I didn't ask him where he was at. Good riddance. Good riddance. Like, honestly, it was like, okay, I'm not doing this again. The back and forth thing. You've already treated me bad and been rude to me, disrespecting me, belittling me. I don't like anybody that's not nice to me. I'm not one of those girls who a guy is not kind to you and you just constantly forgive them or you still like them anyways. When someone likes you, they are kind to you, they are nice to you. Are you going to always get along? No. But they're not going to treat you like they can do so much better than you or like they're disgusted with you. This time around, I did go out and drink, y'all. I did go out and drink and try to turn up and party and forget about this person. And I did find myself in another, it was a super short relationship with someone that I just really didn't like out of desperation. Ugh, that's so hard to say. But out of like desperation and just loneliness, I was just like with someone that I just did not like this person at all. And I was just like, I feel like the same way my ex made me feel, I kind of was doing that to him. And it was not right. It was not right at all. So I just decided, like, if I'm going to date again, I'm going to date someone that I really like, that I find attractive, that I meet on my own, not through anybody else. And that's what I did. The next guy that I was dating, I met him on my own. I found him really attractive. I like who he was as a person. And I took my time to get to know him, and I didn't just rush into a relationship. I really got to know him as a person. And also by the time I had just did so much self-work. I started working out. I started eating better. I started reading a lot of self-help books. Had I had went to therapy at this time? Did I go to therapy before him or after him? It might have been after. But I had put in a lot of work of just like treating myself nice, cooking myself dinner, lighting candles, having flowers ready for myself, and changing my bedtime routine, trying to heal my inner child, even if it was like very simple things. Like when I was younger and we was going somewhere, everybody got their food from this one place. We going to McDonald's and that's what we eat, McDonald's. But it felt good to be like, just do simple things like, hey, I might want some cookies from McDonald's, but I want some food from Chipotle. And I know that might sound silly and simple, but it's like little things like that just feel so good to do. Like I just started prioritizing myself and just becoming somebody that I don't play about. And I think that made it so much easier when I started to see red flags in the next guy. And it made me just be able to walk away. No, I can't help you start a business. No, you can't move in with me, So yeah, my 15 minutes is coming to an end. I'm Simone. This is the Relatable Black Girl, and I will see you guys next time.